we're gonna have a look back at pre-season. We're gonna do a average player rating tier list. You know how it goes by now. We've got 7 tiers in the tier list, which is awful, 0 to 4.9, not good, 5 to 5.9, okay, 6 to 6.4, 6.5 to 6.9 is good, very good is 7 to 7.4, excellent is 7.5 plus, and then you've got the best rated player, which will be the player of pre-season. So, shall we get into it?
You guys ready? I want to know what you guys are predicting for player of pre-season. I want to know what you guys are thinking. But this has basically gotten an average of all our pre-season results, every rating we've given, and we're going to see where these players land for how they've performed in the pre-season. And I want to know what you guys think. If we're too harsh, too generous, I want to know what you guys think in the comments. But yeah, let's get into it.
So early predictions for player of pre-season is Kulusevski and Bergvall. And I think that's pretty much in line with our thinking, as we've said many a time. But we're going to start off with Vicario. So my prediction for Vicario, I think he'll go into good.
We averaged him a 6.1.
6.9, so okay.
Only okay. He did make a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, he did. And his playing out the back is definitely much to be desired about. He needs to buck up on that for sure. But I do think he showed, good shot-stopping skills throughout the tour.
He made some good saves. I guess the big concern is he made a mistake and then he literally repeated the mistake in the next game.
Yeah.
So he's got to work on that. He's got to make sure that he's cut that out before the start of the season. Look, he's still going to make those saves. He's still really good at sweeping. So hopefully he can put those mistakes behind him. But I don't think it was his best pre-season.
Next up is Brandon Austin. I mean, how many games did Brandon actually play?
We've given him 4 ratings.
Oh, 4 ratings.
Because he played 45 minutes.
I know he had one poor performance, but I think the rest of them were pretty good. So I'll probably say he goes probably same as Vicario, okay?
Yeah, 6.0, just below Vicario.
Just about sneaks into
because
okay.
Because he got a 4 against the K-League. Haven't really given him a rating since then. Vicario's played most minutes. So gets a 6 for Austin. Did have some good showings against Hearts and QPR, though.
Impressive, very impressive. Next up is Jed Spence. I think he's one that's really shown himself in a good light for the majority of pre-season. Obviously at left back against Bayern in both games wasn't as good as maybe as we saw at right back earlier on in the pre-season, but I would say he probably goes into good.
6.8.
Yeah, good. Upper end of good as well. So yeah, it's a positive pre-season for Jed. At the back end of last season, and when the players first came back, we were all saying Jed's definitely off. We weren't even counting him as a Spurs player at one point. The move to Genoa broke down. They didn't pay the money, and he's reaped the benefits of it.
He is, and he started really well, getting a 9 against Hearts and an 8 against QPR, then tailed off a bit at the end against those two. I think he did struggle in those 2 games against Bayern, which is maybe why his rating's a bit lower. But I think it's been a really positive pre-season and definitely one where it looks like Spurs are going to count on him for next season, albeit we'll have to wait and see what happens with this Van Vanderson deal. But really positive for Jed, really positive. Put himself back in the frame.
Next up is Pedro Porro, and I feel like Pedro Porro, he was a bit rusty the first 2 games, but he's grown and grown into pre-season, and I feel like he's had a positive pre-season as well. So I'm going to say he probably goes into good as well.
6.7.
Yeah, so actually Jed has been rated higher than Porro.
Yeah, he has. Maybe it's just because we're a bit more surprised with Jed than Porro. We expect a bit more.
Yeah, but I think that Porro did look rusty the first couple of games.
He did, but he scored 2 goals, didn't he, against Bayern and 1 against the Vissel Kobe. And I think he was growing into pre-season as well. So I don't think he's been bad, but had a good couple of moments. But yeah, his first couple of games, he was a bit rusty.
Ashley Phillips up next. I'm always impressed when I see Ashley Phillips play. I think, he looks like a real physical presence, particularly for someone of his age. Looks at home. Maybe his on the ball needs a bit of work, but yeah, I think he's had a fairly positive pre-season, but hasn't played too much.
Given him 3 ratings.
Yeah,
and we actually given him a 7.3.
7.3. Wow, yeah, very good.
8.77.
I really like Ashley Phillips, and
obviously only played against Hearts, QPR, and Vissel Kobe.
It's such a shame that he might have to be loaned out this season, which is not a shame because I think it'll be good for his development, as the Plymouth move was. But I do think he can make he can have appearances here next season if he was to stay.
I think so as well. So we'll have to let's see how he does on loan. I think he just has to make way just because of numbers. I just don't have their space.
Which is a massive shame.
It
Massive
is,
shame.
but as well, he's not definitely ready to be fourth choice anyway, and I'd rather help his development. As much as he's been decent in pre-season, he's only really played second halves and things, never really started any games. So he's been good when he's played, but yeah, I'm happy for him to go out on loan.
And there was an article from Ali Gold today talking about Ashley Phillips about in an interview with Ledley King, saying, you know, Ledley Kings were going to really take him under his wing and teach him a lot of little pointers and coach him through how to be a top Premier League centre back, which is going to be great.
Which is fantastic, if that's true.
Next up is Radu Dragusin. I don't think Radu's had a good pre-season, to be fair. I think he's been a bit under par. I would say he probably goes into okay.
5.5.
Oh, he goes into not good.
He struggled a bit. You gave him 2 6s and I gave him 2 5s. So
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. He goes into not good. Look, I think he has struggled, to be honest. He hasn't looked his sharpest. I don't think it's anything to be worried about. But I just think, coming back from the Euros, he's hasn't really had a proper centre-back partnership next to him as well. So it's led to him struggling a bit, but he just hasn't been at his sharpest yet. So unfortunately, that's the reality of his pre-season.
Ben Davies next. I think Ben Davies has had, a Ben Davies pre-season. Nothing too bad, nothing too good. Probably goes into okay.
Given him a 5.6.
Oh, he goes into not good as well.
5.6. You gave him 2 6s, 2 5s. I gave him 3 6s and 1 5. 5.6. And yeah, I think he struggled again in the 2 games against Bayern. The other games he was all right, but nothing special. So not good apparently.
All right, let's get into the new signings. Archie Gray, who's been brilliant. He's been a shining light apart from that one game he started in midfield against Bayern Munich, which probably brings his average right down.
Unfortunately, it does. He's got a 6.9. So he's still in good.
Yeah, that's the break-off between good and very good. So, yeah, it's impressive for Archie Gray.
But he has got 2 8s, 3 7s, and a 4. So that 1 4 really just not notches him down from very good to good. So probably is a bit harsh, I would say. But that 4, obviously, the Bayern game, he did struggle a lot. So I don't think that was undeserved. But the fact that he was, I gave him a 9, an 8, and 3 7s and a 4. So he's definitely had a very good pre-season, but just misses out on a very good.
And what I really like about him is how tenacious he is. He's not fearful on the ball. He's always looking to progress it forward. He's got those nice little silky touch and moves. He looks like a really exciting prospect. Really does.
Definitely.
Next up is Lucas Bergvall. Surely he goes into excellent.
Lucas Bergvall, 7.8.
Yeah, he goes into excellent. Unbelievable pre-season for him. Every time he steps on the pitch, he oozes class. Unbelievable technical ability. He's got bite in the challenge as well, physical presence. I mean, the boy's got it all, in my opinion.
He's been sensational whenever he's either started or come off the bench. I think he's been really, really silky and been really impressive. And considering he's 18, he's only really played in the Swedish league so far. The fact that he stepped in and performed so well is seriously impressive, and I can't wait to see what he can do in the Premier League. So absolutely deserves that rating. I think in every game he's been so consistent, hasn't had a bad game yet. So really, really impressive stuff.
Who's next? That Jamie Donnelly?
Jamie Donnelly, yep.
Jamie Donnelly, left back. I think he's had a good pre-season. Was left out he didn't get a minute, did he, in the last Bayern game? But I think when he's been playing at left back, I think he's done well. I'll probably say he goes into good.
6.9.
Yeah, 6.9. Wow. So one more point, he would have been on very good. So impressive from Jamie.
In there. His best performance definitely coming against Vissel Kobe, where he came off the bench, he sat on Mikey Moore, he got hit the post. That was a really good showing. Obviously, he spent a lot of pre-season out position, which I would love to have seen him a bit just in the forward line, in that forward area. Wasn't to be, but I think he has performed admirably. So 6.9 is fair, I think.
Bissouma up next. I think he started pre-season on fire, and he's been okay in the last couple of games, but I have expected better. He started the game really well against Bayern the second game, and then kind of just drifted out the game. So I would probably say he goes into probably good or okay. I'm not sure.
6.8.
6.8. That's a good.
Goes into good. I was a bit more generous than you were for him. I gave him 1 7, 2 8s. Sorry, 3 7s, 2 8s, and a 6. You gave him 1 9, 1 8, 2 6s, a 4, and a 5.
So I actually gave him a higher mark than you gave him in the 9.
Yeah,
but then I gave him 5s.
Yeah, 5s and 4s a bit late. Against Bayern, you gave him a 4 or 5. I gave him a 7 and a 6.
Yeah.
So
wow. That's quite different.
Very, very different. You averaged him a 6.3. I averaged him a 7.2. So there was a big difference there with Basuma. Yeah, I think he ended pre-season maybe not as good as he started it. I still think by and large it's been pretty good pre-season from him. And I think we want to see those early performances translate into Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hope he can do that. Next up is James Maddison, who's had a poor pre-season in my opinion. He has had some good performances. He got a lot of flack for that performance out in Japan, which I didn't think he should have done. And he had a good performance, was it against QPR, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, he's flattered to deceive a little bit.
6.2.
6.2, that's okay. He goes into okay.
Goes into okay, which I think is probably fair. I think he started off quite well against Hearts and QPR, and it was looking good. Had a good game as well against the K-League, it says here. Got a 7 there, but struggled against Bayern, to be honest, 4 and a 5. You gave him 2 4s. And as much as he played well in those other games, it's still not the Maddison that we expect. Haven't seen too many opportunities for him to really open up defences or get shots on goal, which we know he's capable of. Those moments of magic, he's still lacking that, I feel.
Yeah, he needs to step it up, James Maddison, with the season just around the corner. Next up is Pape Matar Sarr. Pape, again, I don't think he's had too much of a good pre-season. There's been flashes in there, but I'll probably say he goes into maybe even not good.
5.7.
Yeah, not good.
Struggled, I feel. Had a really good return against QPR, and then 5 6 5 5. Yeah, after that, hasn't really got into it in this pre-season. Has struggled for consistency on the ball. Off the ball, he's still got that energy, but we need a bit more from him, I feel. And I feel like some games he's let pass him by in this pre-season.
Next up is Alfie Devine, who's actually shown himself to be really valuable in this pre-season. I think he's been brilliant. I really do. Every time he stepped on the pitch, I think he's shown, with the team around him, that he's at a really good level. I do think he's probably going to go out on loan for one more season and maybe come back and compete next year. But he's showing that he's got a really big future ahead of him. I think he could even go in excellent, but I'll say very good.
Alfie Devine, 7.3.
Yes, just about and very good, but could be excellent.
Very consistent. Pretty good whenever he's been on the pitch and whenever he's asked to contribute, whether it be half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever. He hasn't started any games, but I think whenever he's been on the pitch, he has been one of our better players. So really, really impressive pre-season for him.
Who's this next player?
Ollie Skip.
Skippy. Skippy, he's had some good performances. He's had some, the first game was really poor, wasn't it, at centre-back. He played centre-back, I think, for the first 3 games of pre-season. I would say he probably goes into okay.
6.6.
Ooh, he sneaks into good there.
I think he's actually been fairly good in this pre-season. Obviously, he has played our position quite a bit as centre-back. I actually think when he's been in midfield, he's been quite impressive, especially against, I think it was the K-League. I thought he was good. He actually had a really good game at centre-back against QPR. And I thought in the Bayern game, I thought he played really well. I was really impressed with him. So I actually think it's been a fairly positive pre-season for him.
Manor Solomon?
Manor.
I think he goes into awful,
4.8.
Yeah. He does. He goes into awful. He has been awful, which you got to give him a bit of leeway because he is coming back from a very, very long injury. He's been out since October last season. And look, he just hasn't been able to show anything in pre-season. Every time he's got it, moves have broken down. He can't really take on his man. Even against championship sides, against QPR, he looked poor. So unfortunately, really bad.
I think his decision making's been poor a lot. Doesn't look like he's sharp at the moment, which is understandable. But unfortunately, we're rating him in his performances, and I do think his performances he's really struggled in this one. So averaging a 4.8, I don't think that's harsh. I think that's probably about what he's shown in pre-season. I think a loan deal's in the offing, and hopefully he can get back to his best.
Yeah. Let's move on to Sonny. Sonny I think he's had a bit of an up and down pre-season. He's always shows those leadership abilities and hard work rates. He played really well, didn't he, in the Team K-League game? He absolutely smashed them off the park. That was probably his best performance of pre-season. I would say he goes into good.
Sonny 6.9.
Yeah.
Just missing out on a very good.
Just missing out, yeah.
I think probably because he struggled in, again, those 2 Bayern games.
Yeah.
He did really struggle to impact the game. I think before that, obviously, scored a great goal, 2 great goals against the K-League. Scored a nice goal against Vissel Kobe as well. Played up front against Hearts and QPR, which, maybe not his best position at the moment. I think he's been, by and large, pretty good. But, yeah, those 2 games on the left against Bayern, I think he struggled to really impact the game. So that gets him down a few marks.
Next up is Dejan Kulusevski, one player that has really emerged in this pre-season in a different role in the central areas. He did actually finish last season as the number 9, and he's carried on in that vein. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists in 6 games, which is really...
4 assists, is it not 4 assists?
Is it 4? I thought it was 3 goals, 3 assists. Maybe it is 4. But look, for me, he's been the player of pre-season. Every game he's delivered. He's looked on it. He's just really comfortable in those central areas where his flicks, in terms of his assists, his finishing ability, he's shown as well. So he must go into excellent.
7.9.
7.9, wow. Is that more than Bergvall?
Slightly. 0.1 more.
Yeah, wow.
So he has been unbelievable.
Brilliant,
you gave him an average of 7.8. I gave him an average of an 8, actually.
Wow.
I gave him 2 7s, 2 8s, and 2 9s.
Wow.
You gave him 2 7s, 3 8s, and 1 9. I think he's been excellent, whether he be up front, whether he been in the midfield, even on the right, he's done all right as well. He's made an impact in every game he's played. He's been dangerous. He's even in that game against Bayern in Korea, where maybe his weakest performance, I still think he gave them trouble. I still think he gave Kim Min-jae something to think about. He's used his physicality well. His quality's been there for all to see. He's been getting goal contributions regularly. I think he's just been a shining light, and he's been a delight to watch in this pre-season. So I think he definitely deserves that rating, and excellent.
Brennan Johnson, I think, the last 2 games have been a complete no-show from him. I can't remember too much he's done well. He did start pre-season well, though. In the first 2 games against Hearts and against QPR, I felt like he had good games. So it's a bit of a mixed bag from Brennan. I would say probably goes into okay.
5.8.
5.8. Oh, it goes into not good.
5.8.
Those last 2 performances must bring him
He
way
got
down.
a goal against Hearts, and he got a few assists. He got an assist against definitely against Vissel Kobe, and he got kind of a half assist against Bayern, I guess. I don't know if you can count. You probably don't count that, but so he's involved in a few goals, but definitely a struggle to impact games in this pre-season. Hasn't been as effective in the last couple games as well, so definitely need to up his game with the new season coming around, and it's probably a part of the reason why we're looking for other wingers as well. But still involved in some goal contributions, so not all bad, but definitely needs big improvements.
Yeah. Will Lancashire up next, another player who's really emerged in this pre-season, had a really strong showing in his first game against Hearts, where we're all kind of blown away by that performance, weren't we? Where he looked like a real proper centre forward number 9, hold up play, movement, finishing ability. I thought he was brilliant. Hasn't really been able to match that same performance in pre-season, but I still think he's shown some value, definitely, in this pre-season. So I'll probably say he goes into good.
6.6.
Yeah, just about good.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think obviously he got 1 goal against Hearts. He scored against was it the K-League as well? Was it the K-League, I think, or was it Vissel? I think it was the K-League.
Vissel Kobe, wasn't it? I can't remember. It was one of them.
Werner came on and got the assist for him. I think it was...
It was Vissel, because I remember sitting behind the goal for it. Yeah,
was it Japan? Okay,
yeah.
so it was Vissel Kobe. No, because Mikey Moore scored the winner in that one.
Oh.
It was the K-League.
Okay.
It was definitely the K-League. So, look, he's got a couple of goals, which is good for a young striker like that, coming into men's football for the first time, trying to prove himself. It looks like he's going to be here for next season, so hopefully that shows he can make a bit of an impact off the bench and get some goals and stuff. But yeah, I think he's been good, by and large, especially for a young player, trying to make an impact.
Yeah. Next up, we have got Timo Werner, which I don't think he's been that great in this pre-season, to say the least. I feel like he's had some good moments, but on a whole, I don't think he's been that good. I'll probably say he goes into what, okay, maybe not good.
5.6.
So not good.
Got that. He got an assist against Hearts, and he got an assist for Lancashire, so that was decent. And we gave him a 7 and a 6 for those, but really struggled in the other games. QPR was poor, got a 5. Bayern was poor, got a 4 in that one. I think in those games, he really was frustrating as well. So I think we probably saw the best and the worst of Werner, really, in this pre-season. Also, the amount of times he dribbled it off the pitch must have been about 3 or 4
just
times.
Werner being Werner, basically.
Literally, the amount of times he just, he has space, he just dribbles it right off the pitch is quite funny. So, 5.6 wasn't great.
Mikey Moore up next, who's been obviously brilliant in pre-season. 16 years of age at the time where he was on the pitch. He obviously is 17 now, since his birthday was a couple of days ago. He has signed that contract, which is music to all our ears. And how many goals has he got? 2,
he got
3?
1 against Vissel, 1 against Hearts, and then he got an assist against QPR. And did he get an assist against Hearts as well, potentially? So he got quite a few goal contributions for a 16, now 17-year-old.
I think he'll go into very good.
7.3, just misses out on excellent.
So very good.
I think
it's impressive.
Really good impact,
So impressive for a 16-year-old. You look at the players that he's above, Sonny, it's just madness. But last but not least is Tyrese Hall, which I don't think he's had the best of time on the pitch, to be honest. I'd probably say he goes into not good.
6.5.
Oh, he goes into good.
6.5.
Who did he have a good performance against? Was it Hearts?
He came on against Hearts and QPR and did all right, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then I don't think he got much game time after that. So
he came in on the tour as well.
He came on the tour a couple of times, but I don't think he got much game time. So 6.5. I think pretty decent when being on the pitch. He's shown some confidence, got on the ball a bit. That is look, every category represented now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So let's break.
And the player of the pre-season.
Yeah, it's Dejan Kulusevski.
7.9.
It's harsh on Bergvall as well, because it's literally 0.01 of a point.
But that's it. Look, when it comes to ratings, we're ruthless. If you're 1 point ahead, that's where you go. And I think Decky deserves it. I do think he's been our most consistent player in pre-season. I think he's been a shining light. I think he's been a joy to watch. He's probably got the most goal contributions out of anyone as well.
Oh, for sure.
So I think he's been brilliant. Also played in so many different roles, and he's excelled in all of them. So I think he's been so impressive. So player of pre-season goes to Decky.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit telling when you look at very good and excellent as Bergvall, Mikey Moore, Alfie Devine, Ashley Phillips. So, I mean, it's all the kids that really excelled in this pre-season.
Well, the reality is that's when we've looked at our best, when they've been on the pitch. I think in the first halves, we've looked a bit below par, and then they've come on the pitch and really added the energy, excitement, and we've upped our game a bit. So I think that's representative of when we've looked at our best.
Yeah. Does that worry you at all going into the season?
Maybe a bit. You would like to think that our first team is firing and ready for the new season. That would suggest, maybe we're not, but we've still got players coming back like Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, so I'm willing to be patient to see them getting back in the lineup before, I make judgments as to where we are. But yeah, it's not great. It's not a good thing for sure that we only look at our best when the youngsters are coming on. It's definitely not positive.
Yeah. So let's run through the tiers with you. So in awful, you've got Manos Solomon. In not good, you've got Radu Dragusin, Ben Davis, Pap Mate Sarr, Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner. In okay, you've got Vicario, Austin and Madison. In good, you've got Spence, Porro, Gray, Donnelly, Bissouma, Skip, Sonny, Lancashire and Tyrese. In very good, you've got Ashley Phillips, Alfie Devine and Mikey Moore. And in excellent, you've got Bergvall. And player of pre-season is Dejan Kulusevski. So do you agree with those? Let us know in the comment section below.